All right, so we're going to be talking about Penn State's first 2 weeks. I wanted to do one after week one, then I realized we have an early bye week three, which is it's currently Saturday, the 14th, so Penn State is currently on the bye. Um, and I just wanted normally going into week one, after I'm done week one, that's it, things change from what you see then to what you see week two. So I wanted to see what happened week one and week two against West Virginia and Bowling Green. So Penn State's currently ranked number 8 in the country. They traveled to play West Virginia back to back years. So I'll go through scoring plays, turnovers, anything like that. I'll go through quarter by quarter, just like I would with the Eagles Saints recaps. Um, yeah. Uh, and then I'll do an overview of everything. I'll go game by game first. So I'll start with West Virginia, then go over to Bowling Green. So, West Virginia game, first quarter, muff snap by Penn State led to a West Virginia fumble recovery by defensive lineman TJ Jackson at the Penn State 33-yard line. On the next play, West Virginia had a muff snap to man in motion, which led to a Penn State fumble recovery by safety Jalen Reed at the Penn State 47-yard line. West Virginia turned the ball over on downs at the Penn State 15-yard line. So nothing really happened in the first quarter. A lot of teams just weren't ready for really going in the first quarter. Second quarter, on the first play of the quarter, Penn State quarterback Drew Aller threw a 50-yard touchdown to wide receiver Harrison Trey Wallace the third. So I'm gonna call him Trey Wallace now. I've been calling him Harrison Wallace for since he joined Penn State. So but he wants to be called Trey now, so I'm gonna call him Trey Wallace. Um, 2-point conversion attempts was made after that. That was unsuccessful. Drew Aller threw a 20-yard touchdown. Running back Katron Allen. West Virginia kicker Michael Hayes the second kicked a 38-yard field goal. Then he proceeded to kick a 39-yard field goal. And Drew Aller threw an 18-yard touchdown to Trey Wallace. Third quarter, Storm delayed the second half of the game. I ended up going out. It was what, a 2-hour delay. I know I wrote it down somewhere because it was a very, very long delay, and I'm glad I left. I ended up watching on my phone for the rest of the game when the game came back. Um, when it came back from the second half, Penn State running back Nicholas Singleton ran in a 40-yard touchdown. Fourth quarter, West Virginia running back CJ Donaldson ran in a 1-yard touchdown. 2-point conversion was unsuccessful. Penn State option quarterback. I'm just going to call him that because he comes in on a lot of option plays. Bo Pribula threw a 19-yard touchdown to tight end Tyler Warren. Penn State edge rusher Smith Vilbert strip sacked Garrett Green, the West Virginia quarterback, and Penn State edge rusher Danny Dennis Sutton recovered at the West Virginia 43-yard line. Penn State kicker Sander Sahadak, he kicked a 46-yard, or he missed a 46-yard field goal wide right. Penn State cornerback Elliott Washington, the second intercepted West Virginia backup quarterback Nico March Marchiol Marchiol. I'm not too sure. I apologize for the mispronunciation. He intercepted his pass at the Penn State 30-yard line. Penn State went on to win 34-12. Um, both transfer cornerbacks were playing lockdown for Penn State. Uh, Run defense looked very hit or miss the entire game. I was learning the game of that Abdul Carter was going to be playing edge rusher this year and not linebacker. I'm not a huge fan of that. Uh, for Abdul Carter, go for it, man. You can play edge rusher, you can play linebacker, you can play whatever you want. I'm not talking about it's no issue Abdul Carter. It's an issue with the defense itself. I think Abdul Carter is so good in the middle that I think the defense benefits more there. The edge rushers are already very good on Penn State that I didn't think he needed to play there. I think he benefits more, and we saw that in week two, which I'll get to that. But he was clearly being missed at linebacker there. There was running plays that were happening that just couldn't get stopped. Refs were I don't really talk about the refs a lot in a lot of games to the Saints or the Eagles or Penn State, but they were really questionable. There was a missed PI call on Penn State. Whenever I talk about the refs, I want to see both parties, but they had a missed PI call on Penn State and a clear turnover on downs on West Virginia in back-to-back drives. And then there was the issue where they said Penn State uh didn't or no, it was West Virginia. They said West Virginia got the first down and he was nowhere near it. I don't know what happened there. It was horrendous play call, or just calling by the refs the whole game, on both sides. I'm not gonna ignore that. I'm not gonna ignore or there was PI calls on that should have been called. Um, Drew Aller completed a 63-yard pass to Amari Evans Jr. It seems like Amari Evans is going to be the wide receiver two. He's probably not on the depth chart as wide receiver two, but just seems like he's Aller's second favorite wide receiver. So that was to set up the touchdown before the end of the first half. Just a fantastic drive. Penn State led 20-6 at halftime, and there was the 2 hour and 19-minute weather delay. Offense seems to not know how to use Bo Prabula effective as last year. I know we have the new offensive coordinator who is just fantastic at play calling compared to last year. I feel like I'm watching a similar situation unfold with the Eagles and the Saints, where talented players, but just offensive coordinator couldn't do anything last year. And I think these new offensive coordinators are doing phenomenal. Um, yeah, they don't really know how to use Bo Prabula effectively. Last year, they kind of just throw him in on option plays. And then at some point you fake a run and then you throw it with him. That's okay. It just seems very like I don't know, like we kind of see it coming. Um, Play calling has looked so much better, like I just said, especially for Drew Aller. Drew Aller is thriving in this. There's some discipline issues with the defense, including players trying to get the hit stick, trying to just annihilate someone with their shoulder and then just completely whiffing or instead of wrapping up you try and hit him to go for the big hit, but they end up allowing first down anyways to West Virginia because you try to go for that hit stick. Tony Rojas showed a lot of potential in coverage and on tackles. I loved Gus Johnson's my favorite. When I was thinking before the game, and I told my stepdad this, and I said, uh, I was like, I was thinking of if you haven't seen what is it? The Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen Ted Lasso, and even if you don't like soccer, I think it's a great show. I mean, I like all sports, so I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it more as a comedy than you really do as a sport. But you do learn a lot about soccer. I mean, I already knew quite a bit about soccer, but you do know. Anyways, uh, there's a guy on the soccer team named Danny Rojas, and he's always like, "Football is life," and I was thinking, like when I was hearing Tony Rojas before the game, I was like it would be so awesome if Gus Johnson like came out and said football is life when Tony Rojas does something and he did it. It was hilarious. It was so awesome. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but uh yeah, that was it was a minor but I don't know, inside joke I guess, but I love it. It's so funny. Gus Johnson's the best. Anyways, Yeah, refs called CJ Donaldson in for a touchdown despite only his helmet crossing the goal line. So yeah, again, the refs just kind of whiffed this game. Just not a great game from the refs at all, on top of the weather delay. Yeah, that was the first game. We get into week two, Bowling Green at Penn State, so home opener. Not it's a little different than week one. Bowling Green first quarter, Bowling Green quarterback Connor or Bazelak. He threw a 6-yard touchdown to tight end Harold Fannin Jr. Penn State quarterback Drew Aller ran in a 5-yard touchdown. Bowling Green kicker Jackson Cleather kicked a 33-yard field goal. Second quarter, Connor Bazelak threw a 15-yard touchdown to wide receiver Malcolm Johnson Jr. Drew Aller threw a 29-yard touchdown to wide receiver Amari Evans. And Bowling Green turned the ball over on downs at their own 45-yard line. Penn State kicker Sanders Sahadak kicked a 43-yard field goal. Bowling Green running back Jamal Johnson ran in a 41-yard touchdown. Sanders Sahadak kicked a 28-yard field goal, and Bowling Green led 24-20 at halftime. Third quarter, Drew Aller threw a 14-yard touchdown to running back Nick Singleton. Drew Aller threw an interception to Bowling Green cornerback Ja'Cory Benjamin, who returned it to the Bowling Green 3-yard line. And in the fourth quarter, Penn State linebacker Tony Rojas intercepted Connor Bazelak and gave Penn State the ball at their own 38-yard line. Penn State safety Zachy Wheatley intercepted Connor Bazelak and gave Penn State the ball at the Bowling Green 41-yard line. Nick Singleton ran in a 41-yard touchdown, and Jackson Cleather kicked a 42-yard field goal. Penn State won 34-27. Now they were going into week two, still ranked 8. Okay. First off, I want to say Big Ten Network sucks. I on the on our guide when I was trying to put the game on Big Ten Network, it was showing the Penn State game, and then it was but playing Rutgers for some apparent reason. I don't know why. I know I don't want to watch Rutgers. Which is weird because I don't know. It was weird. I don't like Big Ten Network. So I had to watch so I had to stream the game from my phone onto the TV. Defense looked unprepared, slow, and schematically terrible. Just complete opposite of what we saw week one. I know Manny Diaz isn't there. Losing Manny Diaz, I think that was a huge loss in my opinion. I think Manny Diaz was the reason we've had a lot of success on defense over the last few years, and why a lot of stars have come from Penn State on defense. Uh, this defense reminded me early on like Jim Schwartz of the Eagles in 2020. That's how bad they were. They were just allowing everything in front of them, and they weren't tackling. So it made Connor Bazelak. He looked really good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he looked so good out there. If Bowling Green ends, I don't know what the rest of their schedule is. I don't know if they play other ranked opponents or not. But if they went on to like win out the rest of their games, then I'd be like, oh, this dude's actually legit. Because I mean, he was doing exactly what he needed to with the situation he was given. He went in there into Beaver Stadium with confidence. I respect the heck out of him for that. Because he was playing phenomenal against an absolutely terrible defense that first half. And then the second half came in and it's like, oh wow, there's the defense from last year. Offense looks solid outside of a few drop passes and a couple blown plays by the offensive line. I think the offense looked as good as they were last week or week one. So it was really an issue with the defense. I think if the defense plays better, or is it straight up looked like they didn't watch film at all. It looked like they went into this week saying, "Hey, here's our game plan. That's it. You can focus on your studies and anything like that." It looked like nobody did film. It looked like nobody. It looked like Bowling Green had an answer for everything. As soon as we had some movement, they were snapping the ball, throwing over our head like it was nothing. They had an answer for everything, and Penn State just wasn't prepared. I'm shocked that Penn State's still ranked 8. Um, I'm still so shocked. I thought Penn State was I thought I'm gonna say we. I thought we were gonna drop outside the top 10 with how terrible that looked. One thing I learned about Drew Aller, he needs to learn to throw the ball away. There was a couple plays, a couple drives where get to a late down and he's trying to make some magic happen. Just throw the ball away, dude. Like, it's better than taking the loss. Just you have an opportunity to throw the ball away and reset the marker, but instead you're trying to make magic happen. The NFL is going to teach you that, and you need to learn it either way. So, and I think it would be very beneficial for you to learn that now. Um, like I said, defense came out second half in the scheme that they showed last week against West Virginia. Um, Clearly there something went wrong. I don't know. Tyler Warren was the best player on the field for Penn State. I mean, I was saying during the game, I was messaging my friend and I was like, man, if because I know Goddard's contracts ended up soon, and I know Eagles need to think about looking at another tight end, and I'm thinking, and I said, hey, I mean, if I would love to get Tyler Warren in like a mid round, like third, fourth round. I would love or second, third, fourth round, somewhere around there. I would love that. Tyler Warren, he could play running back. He could play fullback. He could play tight end. He could go line out in the slot. He can go line out wide. He's a do it all tight end. He works hard. If you want him to throw out a pass, he can do that. And he blocks. He's so much better of a blocker than he is a receiver, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But he's really developing as a receiver so far, last year and this year. Uh, I mean, I've seen a lot of great tight ends come in and out of Penn State, with Fryermuth, with Gesicki. I do think Theo Johnson was a little overrated. I think he's a great athlete, but I don't think he did that much at Penn State, for him to be drafted where he was. And I thought he also had a great combine on top of that. But Tyler Warren, he's the most versatile of that group, and I think he could really do damage in the NFL, and I can't wait to see him in the NFL. Um, he's going to be a coach's. He's coaches are going to love him. Uh, Nick Singleton, Kayshawn Allen, both had a fantastic game. I expected that out of them. You're playing against Bowling Green. I expect them to get a ton of carries. I expect them to go off and not Drew Aller. Offense play calling in the second half started to stall on drives. It seemed like they were getting tired, and that's where the defense started to pick up. Um, the offense was making up for the defense's mistakes in the first half. In the second half, it was more the offense was getting tired. Defense came back. So offense play calling, yeah, just needs to get back on track, get a little creative. Offense play calling in the second half started to stall on drives, and there was a lot of bad decisions by Drew Aller. Like you got to throw the ball away. The interception he threw, he just completely underthrew it. I don't know if it slipped out of his hands or what, but he's got to put more air under the ball because it just seemed like there was no air. I don't. I need to. I don't know. It's been a week. I haven't since I saw it, but I don't remember if he needs to put more air under it or less air under it or just put more power into it. But I mean, I remember this corner. I mean, it just was really short of the receiver in the end zone and just was a bad ball. Um, Overall, I mean, Penn State's 2-0, but I mean, it's not a good look when you win only 34-27 to unranked Bowling Green. And I mean, it was a good look on week one against West Virginia. It was a great look, as expected. So bye week now. just looking overall at the team, I think, I mean, we saw Abdul Carter start to go back to linebacker, and that started to help out the defense more. And I'm telling you, he's so good at linebacker and edge rusher. It doesn't matter, but the defense needs him at linebacker. So I just I don't want to see that. I think either way, he's a first round pick. I think he should be treated the same way Micah Parsons was. The difference between Micah and him is I think Micah's faster and a little more versatile. Like if you told me Micah's gonna go play corner or safety, I believe it. If you want to see him line up at interior defensive lineman, edge rusher, linebacker, anywhere on the defense, I believe it. I think Abdul Carter could play anywhere in the front seven. I don't necessarily know if he can play safety or corner, but I mean, who knows? We'll see it as only time will tell. But yeah, he should be a first round pick. Like I said about Tyler Warren. I mean, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't do that well enough that he's going in the first round because I know the Eagles aren't drafting him in the first round. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Um, I really like Tyler Warren a lot. I think he's going to be a coach's dream when he goes to the NFL, and I'm going to be supportive of him the whole way. Um, Drew Aller, seeing some issues we saw last year, but definitely more explosion. You can see where the scheme is really helping him a lot. He's just gotta, I guess, just learn from your mistakes. That's all. That's the name of the game. You gotta learn from your mistakes and get better for next week. That's why you're in college. And I'm really looking forward to him. I know Gus Johnson week 1 said he he reminded him of Tom Brady, and everybody started freaking out. And Gus Johnson even said, he's like, I'm not talking about the Tom Brady we know the 7-time Super Bowl champion. Yeah, 7-time Super Bowl champion. Uh, but the college Tom Brady. And before he even said that, I thought about like the way Tom Brady scrambles his Tom Brady's not a scrambler by any means, but when Tom Brady ran, he knew exactly when to run and when he should be running. And that's what Drew Aller does quite a bit. So I see what he's saying. And the stature thing, I also see Drew Aller's a big dude. Tom Brady is a big dude, just height wise. Aller also has just muscle mass that Tom Brady never had. So I see what he's saying. I really do. Um, I understand that. I'm not saying Drew Aller's Tom Brady. I think Drew Aller has a ways to go still too. Um, but I'm looking forward to Drew. I think he's very raw talent, and I think a lot of teams could really make him a very good quarterback. If the right coach gets a hold of him, he can be a talented quarterback because of his skill set. Um, I mean, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, they're the two best running. That's the best, I mean, arguably the best running back duo in the country. I do think some bias is there, and I think they are the best running back duo. I think they've been the best running back duo in the country since they both went out there. They're just so great to watch. I mean, Katron Allen, Fat Man. I know people call him Fat Man. That's literally social media handle is Fat Man. And then we got Nick the Quick, Gus Johnson giving him that nickname. But yeah, I love seeing those two. Especially it's different. Like I saw, or I remember seeing Silas Red, and then we went to Saquon, and then we went to Miles Sanders, and then there was a lull, and then we got Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, and just seeing those two, you got like a thunder and lightning type duo. I love seeing them out there. Nick Singleton's this speedy guy, that nobody can catch him, and Katron Allen's this workhorse back. I love seeing it. Receivers, Trey Wallace looks really solid. Receivers is probably the weakest position on offense. I think Amari Evans is really developing into a nice receiver too for Aller, like I said before. Trey Wallace definitely looks like the wide receiver one. Not necessarily anything that stands out like compared to what we saw with like Jahan Dotson, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, guys like that. But he definitely looks like a solid receiver. Offensive line, I mean, this is a new group. Sometimes there's some struggles, but sometimes they look really good. I think they're doing well. I want to see how they do against higher level teams. Um, Defense, edge rushers look fantastic as ever. Linebackers look as fantastic as ever. Run defense needs to definitely get better, but that's how it is every year with Penn State. It's a run defense is the one issue. Secondary looks fantastic. I that was the part that worried me losing Manny Diaz was how is the secondary going to look? Is going to look like how it looked when Saquon and Trace were on the team and our secondary just blew, or is it going to look like past couple years? And it does look like the past couple years. So I'm really happy about that. Sanders Sahadak at kicker is you know, I've always thought that just kickers at Penn State really that's been an issue for us since Joey Julius left. I was a huge fan of Joey Julius. Dude could just rock anyone. I do think he could have made the NFL just because he was a good, accurate kicker, but on special teams he was so important because he was this big dude and he could bring down returners. So I don't know where Joey Julius is nowadays, but I hope he's living life to the fullest. I loved watching him play. I will I'll you'll for Joey if Joey Julius has no fans, that means I'm no longer here. But Joey Julius was so fantastic to watch. And I just yeah, I don't think we've had a consistent enough kicker since then. I hope Sanders Sahadak can really get better with that. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, Pence as of now still in the playoffs, but it's as of now we're in the playoffs, but it's still really early. I haven't really given my thoughts on video of what I think about the playoff format. I've always wanted it to go to 12 teams. I just think that's perfect. Um, I mean, in my opinion, having a 24 team playoff would be great because you get that March Madness style, but for football, and you also see the importance of why we have a top 25 ranking every single week. So I see that. Um, but yeah, at Penn State's at 8, pretty favorable schedule compared to the past few years. Still playing Ohio State at Penn State on November 2nd. And playing USC and Michigan State. I believe Penn State plays. I know we play USC and Ohio State. I forget there was a third matchup. Not 100% sure, but it's a lot easier basically than the past couple years, and I think it's great. I think Penn State, even if Penn State were to hypothetically lose to Ohio State and that was the only loss on the year, I think that's still a great look to get into the playoffs now. So I'm really looking forward to this year. I haven't been this excited for a Penn State season in a while, and it's not because of the team, it's because of the opportunity this team is given. That being that there's the expanded playoffs. So I'm really excited to see this team and just how this team looks going into the playoffs. So thanks for tuning in. I'll try and get one. I'll try and get this instead of doing this after 2 weeks. I will try and get this in every week. Bye week's gonna be done next week. So we are Penn State. See you later.